So now we'll move forward to our next set of discussion, which is our last set of discussion today on online video advertising, brand building or performance tools. Guys, experts believe that online, or we can say video advertising, will now dominate the next decade. So now is the ideal time for the marketing professionals to learn more about it. So that's why we have kept this session to know how to reach and how to improve the overall effectiveness of the campaigns. For this, we have renowned experts from their field who have years of experience in this respective field. So yes, we would like to welcome first of all Mr. Ashish Bajaj, who is the Head of Marketing, Partnerships and PR MediBuddy. Welcome, sir. We have Ms. Samta Datta, General Manager Marketing, Soothe Healthcare. Welcome. We have Mr. Akshay Paul, CMO and co-founder of Penta Esports. Welcome. And we have along with them Mr. Sandeep Ranade, Executive Director, Insights Division, Kantar. Along with them, we have Mr. Sahil, Khattar, actor and YouTuber. And I would like to take the opportunity to say Mr. Shekhar Banerjee, Chief Client Officer and Head West, Wavemaker India, to please moderate the session. The stage is all yours, Shekhar. Shekhar is there?
Yeah, I'm trying. Yes,
How
I'm
are you,
trying to
Shekhar?
unmute. I am doing good. And like always, we have still not learned how to unmute ourselves. But yeah, just
I hope you're
getting
doing
around.
fine, Sahil. Yeah. Over to you now.
Yeah. Hi, Sahil. Hi, Sandeep, Samta, Ashish. So good to see you all.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Shekhar.
Hey. Hi, Akshay. Now I can see you.
Sorry about that.
So, not a problem. Just starting the session here. So it starts with first a big warm good afternoon to all the audiences and also fellow panel members. When we talk about online video advertising, whether you take it as a long form content, short form ads, the 3-seconder, 6-seconder blips, just if you see this journey, the video advertising has been one of the most effective ways to tell stories. In fact, as per Group M TYNY report, digital advertising in India is growing by 32% currently, and bulk of which is actually powered by adoption of video formats. We can also see platforms like Google, Facebook, or e-commerce platforms also today. More and more are bringing in a lot of video advertising formats. Also, me being at Wavemaker, I personally work across clients like Netflix, Mondelez, FirstCry, L'Oreal, Vodafone Idea, ITC, and many more. And we are seeing very unique use of video format as part of their full funnel digital strategy, not just like reach building, but also across the funnel. So there is a lot of action in this space. And lucky I am that I have such an esteemed panel with me today that we can talk it out and take their opinion also on this, how it's shaping, especially online video advertising in context of the debate that we have is brand building versus driving clicks or immediate performance, what we call it as. So let me start a bit broad first, and then maybe zoom into a bit more core subject. So this is the first question. And maybe Ashish, let's go with you because you were introduced the first here. We know there is no format which is as immersive as video. But do you believe video advertising is as effective on digital versus other medium that we have seen for so many years?
So thanks for having, first of all, and Shekhar, glad to meet you after so many years as well. And the full-grown beard looks amazing on you. So if moving on
that makes me a less of a competition to Sahil there. Otherwise, would have merged, I guess.
I think we look brothers, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So see, does video make sense? But if you look at there are a couple of angles when you look at into video advertising, driving clicks, or what for you. One, if you're just comparing it with your performance markers, then of course not. But I would like to answer this question in a broader brand spectrum point of view, and then I'll give you certain aspects of measurements that we have seen for ourselves at MediBuddy. So I'll tell you, we did a campaign which was TVC video campaign led. I'm talking about your regular 30 seconders. And of course, they were part of your 3 seconder and 6 seconder bumpers, but it just gave me a bump of around 28% in my organic installs. Come the recent campaign, which we just finished, it was more of a thematic campaign. And that thematic campaign had a lot of online publishers producing content. And there was no single brand TVC in that. Okay. And it was all driven through thematic content. And the theme was around a fight for freedom. It was topical as well. So, but it ended up giving us 45% increase in our organic installs. And I'm talking about week on week growth. And that campaign stood for around 3 weeks. So if I may say, if you're looking and your top ranking parameters are at a level where you're looking at organic growth and not just looking at from a performance angle, that just driving the clicks or visits to my platform, I think video will do a lot of justice to you.
Yeah. First, I must say that these numbers are massive. The growth that you're talking about, they're so massive. Definitely when you compare to any other categories also. And we know typically the platform typically native digital brands have a very different growth trajectory also when they first start advertising, whether equity or whether we talk about performance. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. So we're talking about 9 publisher producing around 24 videos in a span of 3 weeks. So that's the gamut of it.
Yeah. You're also talking about while you're advertising using video as a format, but the agility that is involved in video advertising, which otherwise is not seen in traditional category. And that's where I would actually shift it to Samta. Means if you can come in here and talk about it, because this you heard about the agility and the number of assets they created on video and a very different way of looking at it. And obviously the bumps. What's your take on this one?
Firstly, congratulations, Ashish. Those are astonishing numbers. And thank you, Shekhar. I think, somewhere I have a very broader view of this. Essentially as a topic also, because yes, I do. These numbers are so tempting and they're all part of our KPIs and my team's KPIs and everybody's KPIs. But, I think the temptation to follow through these numbers are always increasing. But at the same time, one cannot sort of see that these are just, one have to sort of be a little realistic that, as long as it is building the theme of the brand, that in the case, Ashish, that you were saying that it was thematic and sort of build in the brand, what it stood for, it's great. But if it is about under the pressure of being on, content or on video, just because that you need to be there, I think it is, it's like an instant validation that will, make the baby cry after 15 minutes again. So, I think one has to never lose sight of a long-term perspective here while, going through performance. Because of course, if you're not performing week on week, month on month, of course, you don't have the vision for future. But at the same time, one cannot be very hyper-focused on monthly, quarterly performances and lose sight of what you really are doing, because essentially when you look down 1 year, 1.5 years, if you've not really moved the needle and connected with your core consumer, no amount of effort would really help in a broader sense.
That's a fantastic point, Samta, you made. Actually, I'm going to come back to that question again, and I will deep dive a bit more. But before I come to that, which is the long-term equity versus the short-term results that you're touching upon, let me throw the question to a very different and bring in a very different perspective from the content side. So Sahil, to you, I wanted to actually ask this: that there is a video content ecosystem, and there is a lot of brand building happens within that space also. Then there are these video ads with skip buttons. Yeah. What will you back more? And do you see different roles for them, or for that matter?
So for me, when it comes to advertising, I think that's more of our bread and butter when we do it on YouTube, right? And with all those seamless integrations that are done intelligently, not just saying आप हमारा product लीजिए क्योंकि उसमें ये है, actually seamless integration which is relatable, maybe quirky, maybe emotional. It doesn't matter what kind of emotion, what kind of rust it's backed by. वो सबसे ज्यादा डायरेक्ट हिट करती है जब सीमलेस होती है और रिलेटेबल होती है. And I think most of it happens on digital. And I love the fact that you use that term by 32%. Um, every year, digital advertising is growing. I come from an era, we created YouTube advertisement when there was no YouTube advertisement. We were the OGs. Like, there were people going out from our sales team, and everybody used to be like, अरे ये digital marketing क्या है? ये क्या है? मतलब मैं YouTube पे क्यों अपना brand डालूंगा? सब कहते थे रुक बेटा अभी के लिए कर ले, नहीं तो बाद में पता नहीं चलेगा तुम्हारे को कि कहाँ निकल गया ये सब. And actually वही हुआ है. I think वो सारे brand managers, and I'm sorry to say, वो शायद उनका जॉब वॉब मेरे को समझ नहीं आया कि कहाँ होगा अभी, because at that time saying no to YouTube advertisement or digital advertisement was probably the cool thing, but later on digital advertisement became the thing. I know brands who don't want to do TVCs, who only want to do digital branding. So that's where the spectrum is in terms of advertisement for me. And I think it hits very, very hard and very direct, because right now it's become personal. I am loitering around in my bed, probably on my table, just looking at a screen, and it is giving me a message which is hitting me hard. And that's how I think it should happen. It can't be anymore. A lot many times it is like that even now, but it can't be Amitabh Bachchan selling कि आप ये वाली गोली खाइए आपका पेट ठीक हो जाएगा. It has to be a guy जिसका actually पेट खराब है और आपको लग रहा है कि पेट खराब होगा. People still think Amitabh Bachchan doesn't go to the toilet. In India, he's like such a big guy, but you can't relate to these things. You have to make it much more relatable. So I'm pro digital advertisement, come what may. And I love how the rainbow has changed colors and everybody is putting in much more money into digital rather than TVCs. I mean, more for us. I'm very happy. But on the other hand, I also love the change for advertisement, how it's become personal, how it's become interpersonal, how the, you said 5-second bumpers, 3-second clips, all those reels, TikToks, Instagram videos, YouTube videos, long form, short form, everything has become so seamless and a lot of people are doing it so smartly. I still feel, Ashish bhai, congratulations on the numbers. I still feel that when you're digitally advertising, I don't think it should be about numbers. It should, I really don't think, because it's about spreading the word. But this is my personal take, and please, I mean, it's my personal opinion and nothing to anybody. मेरे को लगता है कि it's more about brand building when you do it on digital. It's more about recall because it's so personal. आपको numbers करने हैं ना, आप direct campaign कीजिए. Whereas, you want those numbers to change with downloads, with a lot of other things. But advertisement should be sacrosanct, I feel. Done, Shekhar?
Yeah, interesting. I think maybe my voice is, I hope my voice is coming through, because
Yes.
I can see a bit of frozen screens also. But yeah, Sahil, very provocative the way you are actually putting this point, and that's what has happens. You bring in a very different perspective from the content side of the world. And Akshay, it might be interesting to hear your also, because gaming as a space means not just from advertising as a native, but also gaming as a streaming platform has changed, has hit India in a very different way. Last what I knew, roughly around, the numbers are in serious 3-digit millions in India on number of people who are basically watching just game streaming. So what's your take, and therefore the video advertising again in that context?
So, yeah, thanks, Shekhar. Really glad to be here on this panel. Building on what Sahil said, actually, I do agree that digital is the future. I mean, everybody here on this panel, I'm pretty sure, agrees the same fact that digital is the future. But video ads versus native content, I feel that both you have use cases for in today's world. I'm a big advocate for video ads when required. But native content, definitely, completely agree that someone telling you today, someone who doesn't feel what you are and what you do, someone that the audience cannot relate to, cannot sell through, right? So I think before I answer that question, I have to probably understand that when a marketer wants to do this campaign, a couple of things that a marketer must understand initially is what is your business, where your business is currently, who is your TG, where are they sitting, and what is your campaign objective. Right? I think these 4 questions are primary when you look at what is the type of campaign and what is the channel of campaign that you're selecting. Coming to gaming, right? Specifically to gaming, the Penta Esports make native advertising very, 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 very experiential for the brand, right? So if you look at conventional brands, right, video ads are always going to be slapstick. You're going to have programming, or you're going to have people searching for something, and then because they've hit that keyword, you're going to throw in a video ad that triggers from that, right? Whereas native content is embedded into what your whoever is producing, whether it be live content or VOD content, whoever's producing this content, be it Penta Esports that's producing maybe a live broadcast that's hitting millions of users or gamers in this specific point, the ad or the messaging, the communication is made very native. But suppose you're an e-commerce brand that launches, let's say, sale, right? What do? You are an e-commerce brand, and if you're an established e-commerce brand, would you want to do a native advertisement, or would you want to do a performance ad which is skippable? I would say I would want to do both, because at a large scale, when you're hitting people, when you want to announce that you have a sale coming up, you want to do something that is there. But when you want people to action right then and there, a video ad is good, because video ads are passively consumed, right? I am waiting for something to load. I'm passively consuming the video ad, and I'm not charged up until I click on it or redirect to it or whatever it might be, right? So it's passively consumed. Whereas native advertising, which we do, which Penta excels at doing it, and right, is very, very actively consumed. So when you're at the awareness funnel, when your business is at the awareness funnel, when you're wanting to reach masses, right? Because see, video ads are always going to give you numbers that nobody is going to give you, right? Because the platform is such that over the years it's become so strong that you put in a keyword and you'll have hundreds and thousands of hits on the specific keyword alone. So video ads are, but it's actually what is your campaign objective? What do you want to achieve with that objective at that certain point, right? So if you're not an established business, if you're not on everybody's name, like you look at, Apple for instance, right? Apple still does a lot of brand building activities, right? But they never do direct discount driven sales and stuff like that. But they do employ video ads, right? So I think it's also to understand how to best use these platforms, right? And when you integrate it with seamless, and when the advertisement or the communication is consumed experientially, right? Maybe you're a credit card company. Rather than having a transition where you just say replay powered by this thing, you actually swipe the credit card through the screen, and that's how the transition happens. That's very experiential. Now you're understanding, you're giving the use case of what it is. Maybe it could be preloaded cards or whatever you're doing tomorrow. So I think I would advocate for both, because I feel both of them are, they have their use cases. Passive advertising versus active consumption. I think both have this thing. When you want to get across a quick message in the first 5 seconds, 40% off on XYZ. I wouldn't want to, directly integrate with the native advertising. I think a passive skippable ad does that for me, because now I'm hitting masses that are much larger on this thing. But when you really want to talk to somebody, when you really want to communicate what is it that you're offering, when you're talking about your brand, when you're talking about a product launch, when you're talking about anything, I think native advertising comes there. So yeah, this is my view. I'm happy to hear somebody else's view as well.
Yeah, it's pretty fair point. The point that you're making is absolutely fair. There are 2 different worlds. There are 2 different kind of actions actually you can generate from that. And the engagement levels are very, very different. So there's a particular role you can use. But that also makes it to the great segue. The way you said they are different, even though they are same, they are different. Similarly, video advertising can impact differently also. And that's a segue to my next question. And it actually pulls in from the point what Samta you made some time back. And let me, for that, go to Sandeep. Kantar is a usual partner in crime for Wavemaker, also being part of WPG. So let me go to Sandeep and ask this one. The classic, what we are saying, the brand building, what we say, or Other way to look at it is the long-term equity building versus performance, or what we call as a short-term impact or immediate action. What is more important for business today, and can online video advertising drive both? What is your experience that says as a practitioner of data?
Thanks, Shekhar. Glad to be here. I think let me try and address this in 3 or 4 points. So starting with online video as a format, right? As all of us talked about, it's a very agile format. You can do a lot of things, use it differently in different contexts. So adding to Akshay's part of what is the campaign objective for which one is using online video, what is the TG, comes in on what context are you going to use it also. So it's about then using the format, and the studies we have done both in India and globally show it actually drives both the upper and the lower funnel. So it can drive awareness and reach. It also drives purchase intention and messaging. So it's up to us as to how we use it, right? And that leads to what Samta was talking about, and even what Sahil was talking about. I don't look at numbers, but it is always about keeping a balance. I mean, again, to the question, which one is important? I think it depends on the campaign objective, but I think both are important. I mean, one is not without the other, because one needs to look at the long term, as Samta said, but one needs to perform in the immediate short term also. And just to give you an example, when we say messaging or purchase intention or motivation, that is always linked to performance metrics like online site visitation, online purchase. So both are interlinked, I would say. And it is how to use the format now to drive brand and then doing more branding kind of activities, than also using it for performance. And somewhere in the ROI, the cost effectiveness comes in. So in which context are you using it then impacts what is to be done and what is the objective, and whether I drive more of a brand building or more of short-term performance. So I would put it that it's both split, and it is how the advertiser uses the format.
Samta, do you want to add something to the point, because you opened this topic right up front?
I completely agree. I cannot agree more. I think I see them as one universe. I don't see them in parts. Depends on, like, I mean, of course, what Akshay said really makes sense. And, in the world that we are living in, of course, we can fragment and find where do you plug in what at what point. But I think if you see a larger picture, you have to see what you're really doing, what kind of consumer you're really targeting. Are you really targeting, like Sandeep was saying, from the top of the funnel or the bottom of the funnel, right? And what would that mean to that consumer? So it totally depends. I mean, one cannot, and they coexist. The one cannot exist without the other. Having said so, I'm a fundamental believer of brands and whatever they need to sort of be connected with the consumers. Sometimes, I mean, it can be array of things. It cannot be one thing alone, so in that sense, one should not lose. I mean, I am what actually freaks me out sometimes is when we are too close tied with those, those numbers of efficiency or click rates or open rates. When we are, I fundamentally believe data gives you all the answers you want, but you should not take all the answers you get. So, if we get tied down to that and we start celebrating those small wins, like, oh my God, I made the difference, you end up doing disservice to the brand because you got happy halfway in the journey, and that should not derail, especially young managers, to sort of look at data or, try to do marketing that only, angles to that data. That's what I believe.
Moving on, my next question is about the changing digital landscape as such. Means especially the growth of UGC platforms with strong celebrity and influencer play that is there. YouTube has been around for a very long time. We know that. Means, but the landscape furthermore changed when TikTok came in. Now TikTok is not there, but then Reels, Merge, and many more platforms are coming, which is coming to short form. So there's a bit of a play of what do you say, traditional advertising, which is there in terms of video, brand story, or when you use celebrities and influencers on the platform and bring them together to tell a brand story. Some of them actually have turned out to be very effective in driving performance also, like what is called the new norm of social commerce as such. So quite a lot is happening. So how you see them all fitting in together actually means maybe Samta, you can go first on this one again, because the landscape has an impact on how you actually do a brand grows.
No, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, of course, these actually give us a lot of, power to the marketers today to sort of be very agile and try and, use various things that you have at your disposal to sort of engage with the consumer and, keep them more closer and closer to the brand, keep them very solidly connected to the brand. And they're so much fun, but essential part is you just should not jump on the bandwagon just because you have to, just because they're popular mediums, just because you need to be there. And why do I understand the need? There is a core need to be there on these platforms. But I think if your brand has a very solid, connection with your core TG, you can really use these mediums to actually engage at a point where consumer embodies your brand. What I mean is like these crazy filters that you're getting on Snapchat today, and TikToks and all of that. If every core consumer loves your brand, feels for your brand, they will embody it. But it should not be okay. We are doing this contest on this particular site that has to be done this, and if you hold a pack like this, it should not be done like that. At the end of it, if they're connecting to you, you should have to keep the sanctity of that particular medium and the love of the brand, and then it can do magic. It really can do magic, and really actually adds to the kind of relationship you have with your consumer.
I'm not able to spot Sahil now on the panel, but I would have loved to hear Sahil's point of view on this one, especially the kind of work he has been doing. I think we are missing him. But Akshay, maybe
Shekhar,
your take on.
Sorry,
Sahil,
Shekhar. Sorry, no, I was calling you out, Shekhar. Sorry. No, I just wanted to add to Samta before we move to Akshay. Very short. It's that. I mean, it's an analogy, and you may Samta reject it, but the way there was this whole discussion of how do I select the right celebrity or endorser for my brand, the way the digital formats are evolving, somewhere it is also trying to see which platform do I go into, how does it connect with my brand for brand building. So it's become a double task of platform plus an endorser plus the brand coming together to say what Samta was saying. Sorry, that's what I wanted to add. Over to you, Shekhar.
Fantastic point, Sandeep. Actually, with life of marketing or brand building has become very complex, and that's why I wanted to check Akshay's point of view also, especially because let's take it this way: some of the biggest influencers in this space are from gaming field also today, and
Right.
the kind of impact they create in, especially a certain TG's life, is unbelievable.
So,
Yeah, Akshay,
yeah. Sorry, Shekhar, you were saying something?
No, your view.
Yeah. Yes, I feel, I do agree with Samta and Sandeep that slapstick branding, even with an influencer or a celebrity, isn't going to give you any mileage, right? But what is very, very important, I feel, is that celebrities, and let's start with celebrities from gaming and from non-gaming, right? If John Abraham tomorrow tells you to buy, beard oil, I don't think that'll work, right? Because I don't remember John ever having a beard. If he tells you to probably use hair products, probably be. But if you feel if John tells you to buy a biker jacket or a biker boots or something, because that's how he has conventionally lived his life, right? People know he's a biker, right? You could look at Miller's Stone, right? And I'm not even talking about the big brands that Sahil was talking, big celebrities like Sahil was talking about, because they lost a lot of things, right? Talking about maybe a smaller, little in comparison to them, smaller, not smaller, but in comparison to them, smaller. Right. So you look at him. You have to actually be someone who has that kind of approach to life to adopt those products, right? And I feel that is what it is. I feel that is one function of it. The other function is that when a lot of things that a lot of people, what they do is when they bring in celebrities, bringing in, spending large amounts of money to bring in celebrities. But the production, the campaign budgets then take a hit, right? You want to bring in a celebrity, you want to make waves, you make larger than life concepts, right? You want to do something with a celebrity, you want to spend all that money behind a celebrity and then just, like Samta said, pull them up with a packet and say, "Ye khareed lo, this is the best product," and all of that. That's money down the drain. Now coming to gaming, right? You pick up gamers, right? And gamers are lesser known in comparison to obviously Bollywood celebrities or our India's favorite sport, cricketing celebrities. We have athletes in esports as well, right? They follow the same discipline. They have the same, once you go pro, you have to maintain discipline. You have teams, you have managers, you have the works that are looking after you and that are getting you to excel. You bring in these athletes and you tell them that, and these athletes live life like that, right? A shy game, you either have gamers that, live in the shell, and otherwise you have these larger than life gamers, right? Which are these celebrities and content creators and stuff like that. And they really resonate with the brand because the brand wants to go out there and say, this is this thing. I want to do something larger than life. I want to make waves and I want to make ripples. And that's primarily what you can do with a gaming celebrity, right? These guys have come from you, right? And at Penta, we're trying to do more of these, right? We're working on the grassroots levels. We're trying to get more and more people not to be already established pro players, but at the grassroots levels, bring them up the channels, right? And you might not be able to become a pro player, right? You might start out to become a pro player, but you might be a great content creator. You might be a great orator. You might love something else about gaming, right? So these avenues are definitely avenues for influencers tomorrow, because you can then choose what you want to do. And since you've come from who you're trying to talk to, you've come from the TG that has grown up listening to ads run by celebrities and cricketers. You've come from that. Now but you have achieved that, and you've grown into that because you were saying, I'm a gamer, I was a gamer, I believe in gamers, and this is a product I endorse for gamers. This is a product that a brand talks to me and says, I want to, and it could be a product as simple as a selfie stick, right? But a content creator who's a gamer can really spin this around. I don't think a selfie stick could be spun around from a large-scale celebrity. I honestly don't think that. I think, you would require more macro and more micro levels than, and sometimes just get more of them. But
only if it is Kim Kardashian.
I'm sorry, Samta?
I'm saying only if it is Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, I mean,
selfie stick.
Yeah, but I was saying like you would require more micros and macros rather than a mega influencer or something like that. So I mean, there was a study right there also, right? Like you can either get 1 Kim or 1,000 micros, and what would accentuate your business proposition? What would accentuate your campaign more? So I definitely agree with what the panelists before me said, that I think native, when you have someone who knows what they are trying to talk to and who they're talking to, I think that synergies work best. Over to next panelist, whoever has anything to add.
No, I think when I was hearing you, Akshay, I also got a feeling that Ashish has something to add here, especially because I've seen native digital brands especially have a very different trajectory or how they build their brands also, and especially usage of influencer marketing, or for that matter, again, the way you're breaking it down to micro, macro, and the large scale players. Ashish, your take. What do you feel about this evolving space?
Yeah. Absolutely right. So from a native point of view, and even let's talk about the context of gaming as of now. A couple of years back, we did something for Ola for Tuk Tuk. Tuk Tuk is one of the largest installed downloaded game in Chennai for playing auto ride games, auto racings. We branded that. That's native advertising to the core, where the autos that you're saying are looking at the autos which are on ground and that are Ola branded. So it had its different high altogether with the lovers of Chennai. And sorry to, but I'm a guy who works with the numbers every time, though it is in a short term or a long term. But that's how I see the creativity into whatever I do from a strategic point of view. So even then, the Chennai was our biggest market, and if anyone who resonates with Chennai will know that the auto drivers don't agree to your rates that you say, and they all agreed to 49 rupees for 4 kilometers. Okay, so yeah, so that is the kind of impact that it generated into the market, and it became our leading market for Ola Autos. And moving on, like how Akshay was also saying, Samta was also mentioning, and Sandeep also pointed out, yes, of course, we all know that what are the right and the wrong things when we are planning the influencer campaigns, and agreed that now it's not about 2x2 quadrant. Now we are talking about 3x3 or a 4x4 quadrant while we are making the plans. So it was earlier just simply cut down, oh, this is below 10K followers, let's just put it into the micro. But now what is happening is I'm also looking at an engagement score that 10K is having even bigger than a macro influencer. Also, we are putting a filter of saying whether this guy works in my top of my markets or not. Whether this guy from his background point of view, does it make sense for him to be resonated with digital healthcare, or he's a guy who's always drinking and boasting about it. So it adds on to a lot many filters than just left over to the objective. I think this game is big. If you play it right, and I think it can build brands, even looking at shorter duration exposures as well.
That brings me, so if you realize, we ended up talking about the variety of things. We recently talked about video advertising in form of influence, using influencers. Then there are platforms which have video formats, long form content, a variety of platforms that we can, video platforms we can use to actually communicate today, our brands. That brings down to a question of the massive fragmentation that a marketer faces. That means your monies are getting divided through multiple channels. There's a huge duplication between all these platforms. That means you're reaching to the same audience again and again. And that typically leads to a low return on investment when the duplications and everything starts going up. So the question is, do you think the ecosystem is performance ready yet? I mean, especially brand, we understand there's a role of duplication in that. Because the repeat frequency also adds to as reminders, and it does. But do you think it is performance ready? Are you able to attribute success? What's your take? Sandeep, maybe first you, again, as a data practitioner, what do you see first? And maybe after that, I'll come to, yeah.
No, I just wanted to add that in this, I would add on to something, and as Ashish says, data coming from a survey done with marketeers and advertisers, so not consumers now, because it's a question for how, and as digital gets more and more fragmented, because we say it is fragmented, but it is getting more and more fragmented. They are saying, and again putting a number 8 out of 10, 82% to be precise, saying it is very difficult to assess ROI or measure ROI, especially on digital media, now. And that's what we have seen year on year, and the number hasn't gone down. So it's remained in 80s, and we do this survey every year, globally and in India, India being covered as a part of global survey. So it is difficult. And also to the point Samta made earlier, that actually, if you ask, all the measures are there. Everything that you want is there, but just that the part where when a new platform comes in, or the number of new platform coming in are at a larger speed and rate than the way we are able to catch up in terms of measurement, I think there is a gap. But performance wise, there are a lot of measures that can tell us, as Samta was saying, and are we taking decisions midway rather than waiting completely to say that yes, something is working or not. But I think we should look at it holistically, and that's where the challenge is.
Ashish, what's your take on this one? Especially because you deal with data streams which are like almost real time. Every second update you have.
Absolutely, yes, and it does. And even between the two campaigns, it's not more than say 5 days or 6 days. So that is how, at what pace it is working. Of course, like Sandeep is mentioning, more and more options are getting added for an advertiser to start advertising on. And the beauty of the part is that your audience is there and it's increasing the duplication. Of course, yes, multi-screen attribution, how much ever you want to be right on it, how much ever your pixel is throwing you the correct data and your branches are passing you the right, your events are passing you the right data, you will definitely find a problem into it in terms of when you look at how much revenue am I driving out of the spend that I've done. It is deteriorating. I must say in the last 5 years, it has exponentially deteriorated. And from a return of advertising spend, I think it's day by day going down only. And I don't think so the ecosystem is ready, because those measurements have to be in having the pace what Sandeep was also mentioning in terms of exponentially increasing as well. So yeah, my take, it's not ready as of now.
That brings to almost the closure of our discussion and panel. A huge range that we covered, from the need of digital advertising, role of video advertising in that, different formats and what it can do for you. Then also whether the ecosystem is ready to actually support the ambitions that we have from the platforms and all. So maybe you can take one line each and just say that if you want something from our partners, especially the platforms and all, what will be that one thing that you will want them to do for you better, so that we invest more and we will invest with more confidence. So let's start with Samta, maybe with you.
Okay. I think it's not going to be that one thing that I would ask them. I mean, it is not just the responsibility of the partners to say, okay, you turn around and, you say, give me the better ROI or give me a better performance matrix. I think as a marketer, biggest responsibilities lies on our shoulders as to be very clear as to what you're trying to drive with each choices, because of course, everything can give you a great engagement done well. It is not just what, it is how, it is when. A lot of parameters come into play, and I think there has to be some amount of I think appreciation on risk taking that marketeers should also be evaluated on. I would say I think all marketeers should be evaluated in what risk you took this year, than just driving the ROI. And the ROI matrix somehow is becoming a kind of a prison, because then I can't, how much risk can I take on something that is coming on new if I'm all the time, every minute driving ROI? So I think as an industry, we need to move beyond the ROI and find newer metrics to overall evaluate marketing, not just a particular platform or not just a particular communication.
Understood. So basically you're saying more choices from the platforms in terms of decision making, and more from marketers, you expect they should be also evaluated on taking more risks. Fantastic, actually.
Yes, I think that's where I think the work needs to be done. I think because like Ashish was saying and Sandeep was saying, the plethora of options that exist, how can a marketer really do justice if they're always being so sort of married to, everything has to drive ROI? Then it becomes difficult and challenging, right? Even if I want, okay, this can lead to a better, stronger engagement for me or a stronger connection. I can make consumer feel something strongly here, but that cannot be probably evaluated because it's the first time that format has come into the market. But I won't be able to take that risk because I'll be very married to, okay, no, it's not driving the ROI. And I'll wait for some other advertiser to try it and fail or learn from there. So, I think we have to change the matrix, how we evaluate marketing per se.
Akshay, your take one thing. If you have to nail it into one.
I think Samta, that is a fabulous point. I think another thing is that I feel just marketers aren't given their due diligence. In today's this thing, digital marketing has become borderline sales. Conventional marketing was, you want to talk about your brand, you want to build a brand, you want to communicate, like she said, you want to resonate with the audience, you want to connect with them. Yeah, you don't want to be like, sir, topi nahi hai, aapke paas topi kharid lo. That was, that's a function of a lot of things, right moment, point of sale, how much money the consumer has, and all of that, right? I think another thing that marketers should do, right, and I think a lot of companies don't do this, is the marketer should have a say in products. I think if you want to put the onus on a team to drive your sales, you should, if they have the skin in the game in the outcome, they should have a skin in the game in what is going into the product as well. I think just for very simple thing, you can pick up any product in the world today, right? You're making it with some form, whether it's a consumable product, whether it's tangible product, intangible product, whatever it might be. I think the consumer marketers need to understand and give their feedback into what goes into product development also, right? A lot of companies, I won't say work in silo, but a lot of product definition is done by product teams and design teams, something, and then they take it to marketers and say like, this is ready. Why don't you take this to the market and figure out how it can be done? I think that's a broken piece of change, because in the end, driving sales, it's you can't build those stories if you're not vested into what goes on to build your product. And that is something that I really, and sometimes maybe you and I can, connect offline also. I would really like to, it's just something, but that is something very, very, I think very, very close to, hits home hard, because you need to, because they are the ones that are going out in the market, and whether it's research, whether it's understanding what the consumers are buying, what are buying patterns, whatever it might be. I mean, obviously we discussed the overlap of this thing, like channel and everything, but I'm saying there's a whole plethora of things that go into when you're digitally advertising a product, right from who you're selling it to, how many times are you selling it to, how many times are you, all of those things, right? I think the whole funnel that you build, that is the awareness, consultation, and conversion funnel, I think this can be built only and only if you understand the product. And once you understand the product, forget any marketer, as a human being, you would have something to contribute. There would be something that you would want to come up and say that, it might be junk, it might be, not relevant at all. I think that kind of involves marketing teams more. I think that was, and yeah.
I think we have overshot our time very badly now. That's what the messages say to pop it up. So with that, let's actually hand it back to Namita, and we
thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. Thank you so much to all our distinguished speakers. I was listening to all of you, and thank you so much for putting your best knowledge into the discussion. It was such an enriching experience listening to all of you. Thank you, Ashish, Sandeep, Samta, Akshay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And my special thanks to Shekhar also for moderating the session. You brought out the best out of all of them. Thank you so much, Shekhar.